Peace.
Hi, Kojo.
So, Lancelot,
My apologies, my friend. Some realities hit home this afternoon that we
I,
hope that
I
over
thought,
time,
I
over
thought,
time we can fix.
I thought you and the rest of our comrades had this whole GPL thing fixed, man.
Oh no. That continues to be a work in progress. We we can only hope that shortly the issues that bedevil it will be fixed. But that's another couple of years, I suspect.
Lance, we got a few more minutes with you. So, what I'm going to do, we're going to chat for a bit, and then if you will you be available next Sunday?
I think so, GPL permitting.
Because this conversation has to take place. But Lance, I want to ask you a ridiculous question. I don't care. Why are you still in Guyana?
You know, I tell people that history will determine whether my decision to return was brilliance or lunacy. I'm not quite sure. Um, there's simple. There are many answers to that. It could start from, well, everybody is leaving and somebody has to stay. Um, I I think for despite the challenges, I believe in what is possible here. Whether that possibility will be fulfilled in the rest of my lifetime, I am not sure. But I continue to believe that we can be a great country, and I believe that with proper mechanisms in place, which we sadly have not had for by and large for a long time, um, we can we can fulfill the destiny that we keep talking about.
Mhm. Yeah, Lance, you know, um, if you can briefly tell us what is your long-term vision of Guyana, and describe, or maybe I should just split the question. Let me first ask you this: what does Guyana 3.0 mean?
Um, it's really my definition. I don't think anybody else's. As you know, when you develop software, you develop them in versions.
Hmm.
And every time you do a new version, the expectation is that there is some improvement or some new part of it that will provide the help. Um, in my mind, Guyana 3.0 must be the fulfillment of a promise that has really eluded us for the past almost 50 years. Um, Guyana 3.0 must be different. Guyana 3.0 must have um, better governance, more citizen participation, the devolution of power, political power, and other power from the center. And down to your local wards and villages so we can make more effective decisions. Guyana 3.0 is about a different economic model, um, not one that is top down and with by and large the government commanding still a substantial piece of the economy. It's got to be flatter. More of us have to participate at higher levels and really begin to move the country forward in terms of wealth generation, increase revenues to really begin to expand the pie in terms of what this country should be.
Lance, I had a chance to read your article in Kaitro News, talking about ICT and it's the shape of things that must come. But before we get into that, Lance, uh, I've written about this. There seems to be an emergence of a new kind of national pride, and it kind of like picked up steam during the campaign, and has created a sort of capital. I call it a national pride capital. How how should we capitalize on that, Lance? How should we take advantage of this social dynamic where people in the diaspora seem to want to come back and want to contribute in some way or the other. If you had this group to speak to tonight, what would you be telling them?
Well, look, I mean, there are two roles. We who are stakeholders here have a responsibility to make sure that this environment is enabling as it possibly can.
Mm.
In whatever areas that we can talk about, whether it's legislation, whether it is procurement, whether it's fair play, level playing field, etc. We must make sure that everyone who comes in, especially the diaspora, must be able to contribute in whatever way that they see fit. Um, Also, but to say to the diaspora, with and especially some of the things I've said to my friends, is that there's a lot of work to be done, and let's not come in and think that we are, everything is laid out for you, and there's going to be extremely smooth sailing. There's a lot of hard work to be done. There are many things that require fixing. There are many things that require modifying. There's capacity building. There are a lot of things that need to be done to get us on track
Mm.
towards being the nation that we want to be. So if you come in, come in. I tell everyone, to come, but let's understand that we all have to roll up our sleeves and get to work, because there is a lot to be done. From the basics to the most sophisticated to the most complicated. I think whatever area you pick, there is work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
If you're coming in to contribute, we're coming to contribute, and let's do it together. I mean, this happens everywhere else. We are not a peculiar nation where it can happen here as well.
Right. Why is ICT development so high on your list of priorities, Lance?
Well, because if you look, and I am not saying anything new, if you look at what has happened, and I'm not even going beyond our region. If you look at what's going on in Jamaica, if you look at what is now beginning to happen in places like Belize and some others, it is critical that ICT plays the part, and it works on the two pillars. It is a cross-cutting component of the entire economy, the productive sector and government, and then it must stand up by itself as a productive sector. I mean, ICT has gone to a point now where I believe it's contributing to Jamaica somewhere between 8 and 9% of GDP. So there is certainly no reason why we shouldn't adopt similar models and begin to do it. Look, you've heard me on this before. The sectors that we have developed, or we have depended on for the past 50 years, are under challenge. If they are going to survive, they're going to be significantly slimmed down versions of what they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. That is going to cause some displacement. That is going to cause some difficulties in terms of employment. So I am one of those. I believe that if you want to I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying if you want to get up to scratch quickly, and if we want to solve some of the problems, if we at a policy level and an infrastructure level begin to build an environment where ICT can help develop this country at a social and economic level, it would go a long way to solving some of the problems that we have now, or we're going to have later on.
Lance, you talk about a new economic development paradigm. Who should be paying attention to what you're saying right now?
Hopefully, the whole country.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, everyone. Look, we all have a part to play. I don't know if anybody should be paying attention. I would only hope that all stakeholders. I consider myself one. I happen to serve in some other capacities, which I hope would help us take that message forward. But whether you're government, whether you're private sector, whether you're civil society, all of us have to sit down and play that role to make sure that to look at the industries that will benefit us the fastest, and look at the industries that will benefit over the long term and begin to push each other to make sure that those industries are developed, whatever policy is required to support them. We all need to make sure that these things get done.
You know, Lance, Terrence, Dr. Blackman has just arrived in studio.
So
So
he's all right. He can
we're going to try something a little new. He's coming on. He's supposed to be coming on now, Lance. And you know the blackout caused you to be late. Well, we're going to steal a little 10 minutes from his time, and so we can continue this conversation. I hope the technology would allow us to do it. Right? So, Terrence, I hope I'm not having any feedback here. Hold on a second, Lance.
Mm.
Let's see how I can make this happen. Yes, you want to comment some more to that, Mike? Okay. Now, welcome to CWS as it is, my brother.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much
Let
for
me-
having me. As usual, it's an absolute pleasure to be with you. And, you know, since I'm here in person, I get a chance to say in person, I want to, you know, really sort of express my gratitude for you for the work that you've been doing in terms of collecting these stories. I've listened to Lance, and I think I was just extremely impressed with the ideas that he has in terms of developing the information technology sector in Guyana. And I think that in some part, my conversation with you revolves around some aspects of just more broadly thinking about science and the role that science plays in our communities as part of the entire diaspora, not just simply here in the United States, but certainly across the globe. And so, you know, I look forward to being quite pleased to be here in the working with Lance in this regard. And I just want to say once more, thank you for having me, and thank you for the work that you're doing.
You're welcome. You're quite welcome. Lance, the next question I have for you is, do you believe the country is ready for this type of shift?
It's no longer a question. I don't know if we could continue to have that discussion about ready.
Right.
That has gone on for too long. Where we are at the moment is that this is one of the many things that's going to be our salvation, and we're going to have to go ahead and do it. This business of being ready and so on. If we need to educate, we have to educate. We have to do the awareness. Those are the things that we have to do to go forward. If we honestly had to wait until we are quote unquote ready, that is where things start to slow down and so on and so forth. Look, you know, someone said to me many years ago that you really should be doing this kind of business in Guyana. Guyana will never be ready for this kind of thing, and you should pack your bags and go to Trinidad or go to Barbados or go to Jamaica, because Guyana simply isn't prepared for this type of thing. Look, we are not this special race of people that where things aren't ready and things like that. We are certainly capable of absorbing those paradigms that others have done. So I don't buy that anymore. I think the question is how we get about doing it.
Lance, in the article you wrote in the Kaitro News about the shape of things that must come, you spoke on the need to focus on the technology sector and not so much on the traditional primary sectors to drive and improve Guyana's economy. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, I mean, you might have been reading the news in terms of the challenge that we have. Let's take sugar, for example. There is now a commission of inquiry that has been convened to look to see what we can do with sugar. In terms of whether I am assuming that we can actually continue to depend on sugar as a viable sector that will contribute significantly to this economy. We're now at a point where those are the questions that we're asking. We have now to go out and find markets for rice. Those trade agreements and those other arrangements that used to protect us in the years past no longer exist. So the question now is going to be whether those sectors, gold, as you know, the price of gold goes up and down based on the confidence in the US dollar and other financial instruments, and faith in the equity-based market. So if you depend on sectors that have all these variables playing a part in the pricing and your revenue, well, then we have to look at some other things that may be a bit more stable and a bit more sustainable in terms of employment, in terms of revenue generation, in terms of income to the country itself.
Um, Dr. Blackman, you want to join in with that?
No, I think I absolutely agree with. I absolutely agree with Lance. I read the. I was fortunate to read the article that he wrote in the Kaichor News, and I thought it was one of the better articulations of the role that technology must play in a developing country. And I was quite pleased to see that article, and I think I shared it with a number of my friends. And yes, I think Lance has absolutely the right idea. There needs to be a real sense in which the government structures an environment in which things like the information technology sector can take off. The most important capital that you have, so to speak, is the human capital, and Guyana is fortunately blessed with really significant human capital, and I think Lance makes a very important point there.
Lance, I'm going to segue into Terrence's, Dr. Blackman's section, because I'm going to bring you back next week so we can finish off this dialogue on ICT development and your vision for Guyana's new economic paradigm and so on. But I want to ask, since we have Dr. Blackman here, science and technology. Lance, you have, I believe, through the Brain Street, a education platform. Dr. Blackman is in education, the professor, teaches maths and science and so on. How can the two of you, now that you're here together having a conversation, how can the two of you develop any kind of a relationship or use what you have to build something or utilize your skills and so on to build something that can benefit Guyana, benefit the nation?
I am sure that Terence might have been in some earlier discussions with some of our colleagues in terms of what is possible. We have shortages in the education sector. We have shortages for teachers teaching mathematics at the highest level, and more particularly science at the highest level. When you start to peel away the good results in terms of what happens at Queen's College, Bishops, President's College in Roses and stuff like that, and Regina and some of the other schools, you begin to see a slightly different picture in terms of what the performance is. My solution, the solution I propose is simple, is let us take the technology to deliver education to the areas where those students are short or they are lacking. Why can't Terence be available via an online platform to students in Guyana? We agree that they come to a center or they stay at home from 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and Terence is teaching via, even a simple thing like Skype in terms of transferring that. That's the kind of thing that if we're talking about collaboration, these are the kinds of things that we have to do. The first thing we have to do is an imperative, is deliver education to as many students as we possibly can. Mm-hmm. And technology will certainly help in terms of dealing in those areas or in those locations where you don't have those teachers, whether it's rural, whether it's hinterland, where there's economically disadvantaged, whatever. You now have the opportunity by using technology to solve some of these problems.
Awesome. Lance, Terence, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I fundamentally agree with that idea. I think that the technology infrastructure is the bridge which will allow us to transfer the expertise across the diaspora. And I think that Lance has absolutely the right idea. Guyana is an entirely too small place to have just 4 or 5 groups of individuals who do well. We need to extend, Guyanese in that sense, need to extend the expertise more broadly across the country. It's a model that has worked well, but it's worked well for, I think, a world that no longer exists. And in a nation with less than 1 million people, it seems to me that you need to educate and really seriously educate all of your children and to deliver that sort of expertise into places where it's traditionally not there. I think Lance is absolutely right. You need to take advantage of your expertise in the diaspora and find technological platforms to deliver it. So, I mean, I didn't know Lance before. I've read his articles, and I thought that this was really a super smart. This was a super smart way of doing business. And I asked some people who Lance was, and he said, yes, he's a really super smart person. So I think I'm broadly in agreement with what he just said.
But this is a real QC get together here this afternoon. Lance and I were our former classmates
I see.
at Queen's College, see, and then we went across the bishops together. So
Well, I think he's sort of right in the sense that, I mean, the sort of expertise that he demonstrates, we have to figure out ways to more broadly share that expertise in order to create the kind of viable society that can be created in Guyana. I certainly believe that.
Lance, any parting words, my brother?
That was a really good article. It was a really good article, and I hope he's plays some role in the people who put these things together.
Yeah.
Thank you. We will continue to push. A lot of this has been in rarefied air for many years. The issue of telecommunication reform, ICT as a developmental engine, and so on. So a lot of this is about putting expanding the conversation. There's a saying in Guyana that this party needs more people, and really,
Lance, who came up with that saying, man?
It's really an attempt to be more inclusive, and we will continue to push on doing that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
All right.
All right, man. Take care.